Hello and welcome to the Raw review here on Wrestling with Regret. So, how's your week started off? For those of you who don't follow social media, I found out first thing on Monday morning that Jim Cornette blocked me on Twitter over something I said that he did not agree with. I know, join the club, am I right? So anyway, in light of these recent events, I've decided to preempt this week's classic pay-per-view review in favor of an all-new editorial on the subject, so that's coming out Wednesday morning. I think you're going to want to check that out. But before we get to that, though, let's begin with our go-home edition of Raw before Survivor Series. Becky Lynch opens up Raw in Boston. We see the announced team of Vic Joseph and Jerry Lawler. Dio Madden apparently still selling the effect to the F5 from like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Come on, man, suck it up. We see Becky opening her promo with one of her catchphrases, "The man's come around in Boston." I know it's a small sample size, but what's with the deal with their Irish baby faces getting to open their promos with catchphrases? Remember how Finn Balor used to open every promo going, "Balor Club is here in Sioux Falls, South Dakota." What is with that? Becky wants to fight with Shayna Baszler or Bayley. Out come the Iconics and their proper myth. They're not part of the Women's Survivor Series matchup on Sunday. Then Charlotte comes out next. Very odd ordering here because the match is Becky and Charlotte versus the Iconics, but it's Becky comes out, the Iconics, and Charlotte. Got it. Charlotte has a microphone and she says to Becky, you know, we don't want to team with each other at all, but we have to do it because the powers that be forced us to. And she plugs her involvement in Survivor Series. Before the match, Samoa Joe appears in a suit. He's joining the commentary team for the evening, and so my thoughts on his commentary for the night is not bad. For his first night on the job, I think he was very smooth, very articulate, had a lot of good points to make, and had some good quips now and then. I think he, for his first night, he did great. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him should he choose to keep going the commentary route later in his career. Anyway, the match itself, nothing special, except for the fact that some of the ladies are leaving some spray tan on the canvas. Charlotte wins with the figure 8 on Billie Kay, while Becky detains Peyton Royce. So pretty short match. The stars of this show obviously win the thing. Then as they're leaving, though, out comes Shayna Baszler, Jessamyn Duke, and Marina Shafir from NXT. They jump the Iconics. Becky and Charlotte get back in the ring. They fight for about 9 seconds or so before the NXT ladies take them down. They walk away and they're chased through the crowd, but then security stops Becky and Charlotte from chasing them. Becky hits one of the security guards in the mush for his efforts, and that's pretty much it. So we just get more of like it's the first of what we'll see of many little kind of peppers of invasion happening throughout the night, not just from NXT, but from other shows as well. Backstage, Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder being interviewed about their upcoming tag title match against the Viking Raiders tonight. Apparently they won the opportunity while they were touring in Germany this past weekend, and as they're talking, AOP show up and they beat Hawkins and Ryder down. I thought it would have been great, a little spin on the promo they cut a few weeks ago where like they get up mid-promo and beat up like Heath Slater and No Way Jose, and they sit back down. That would have been a great little tie-in here where they beat up Hawkins and Ryder, they walk off stage, we cut to the chairs in the dark room and they sit back down and then finish whatever promo they started off camera. Would have been nice to see that, but we don't get that. So no Hawkins and Ryder challenging the Vikings tonight, so who will it be? Carl Anderson taking on Umberto Carrillo in singles action. Before the match, AJ Styles on the mic and says, because he was disrespected by Umberto last week, he will not be challenging for the U.S. Championship on this night. Early in the match, Carl powders and then the Street Profits show up to even the odds. The match ends when some chicanery by the OC backfires, and then the Street Profits, again, they kind of like tilt the scales in Umberto's favor, so for him to win the match. Backstage, Seth Rollins cutting a promo about his upcoming match with Andrade, where his Survivor Series team captainship is on the line. Then we see Bobby Lashley and Lana make their way to the ring for Bobby's match with No Way Jose. They say it's Bobby's first match on Raw in 4 months. What? What's he been doing this whole time? 4 months, that's such a long time. He hasn't wrestled on TV this whole span? What the hell has happened? Also, how have I just now noticed that his nickname is the Almighty 2 words? For some reason, I always thought it was the almighty 1 word, which is it the Mandela effect? I don't know what's going on. Maybe, I think it would be, if he's going to be the almighty 2 words, drop the and just call him Almighty Bobby Lashley. I think that would work so much better. Anyway, Lana's on the microphone, which is always a recipe for a good time. She announces that she, filed for divorce from Rusev on this day, and then they show a copy of a restraining order on the big screen, real names and all, showing, Lana's real name, Rusev's real name. Got to make it look as real as possible, folks. So basically, there's a restraining order on Rusev where Lana can't keep track whether it's a span of 90 feet, 90 miles, 90 days, whatever. it's jazz for Lana. Anyway, it's a really short matchup here. Bobby beats No Way Jose with a full Nelson. They mentioned on commentary that Jose weighs 260 pounds. Where's he keeping all that, in his hair? Seth Rollins takes on Andrade up next, and as I mentioned, should Andrade win, not only will he replace Seth Rollins on Team Raw for Survivor Series, it'll be a case of, look at him, he's the captain now. Early in the match, Zelina Vega tries her usual antics, but Rollins catches her mid-Hurricane Rana, dumps her onto the floor, and she's ejected. It's a solid match between these two guys, really good work, but then it ends when the Lucha House Party of all people invade from Smackdown and beat up Rollins on the outside, so the match ends in a DQ. Rollins is still the captain, Andrade looks pissed, and so the Lucha guys get chased off by Rollins and Andrade, and then Seth and Andrade have this kind of moment where Seth is like, we'll dance again, pal, and that's pretty much that ends. So like, what was the point of that? You know, the Lucha House Party's not working Survivor Series as far as I know, just this kind of way to keep both guys like fresh and protect them, I guess. Kind of a weak way to end the match in my opinion. Backstage, Bud Murph knocking on Aleister Black's door looking to pick a fight with him. There's no answer, and so Buddy leaves, and as soon as he walks away, Black pops out of the door looking to see who knocked. Man, the one time he leaves to take a shit. Also, again, a segment with Aleister Black right after a segment featuring his wife, Zelina Vega. What is with that? Elsewhere backstage, we see Papa H roll up in the parking lot with his NXT kids in tow. We then get a recap of CM Punk showing up on Backstage, that Fox Sports 1 show of theirs, and they say he's going to be back as an analyst. He's showing up next week. Look, people have asked me what I think about it. I really don't care that CM Punk is back in any capacity. Like, I'm not swayed either direction. I'm not happy. I'm not mad. I'm just Like, part of it has to do with the fact I'm probably never going to watch Backstage on Fox Sports 1. Part of it, I think, has to do with the fact that, you know, so much time has passed since he left that I feel a lot of his aura and mystique have kind of passed him by, like, especially with his, like, losses in UFC. That, I think, kind of lowered his stock, in my opinion. I'm not going to call him, like, a sellout. I'm not mad that he signed or anything like that. Great, get your money. That's cool. Like, do that. That's awesome. I'm not going to bother to speculate if he's going to wrestle ever again. It's just, you know, it's like, I just don't care. Like, that's what this company does, even with guys whose names are as big as CM Punk. They'll come back after a 6-year hiatus and all the acrimony, and all I can come up with is, So we see Buddy Murphy taking on Akira Tozawa up next. Great match. They're only given 8 minutes time. Murphy wins with Murphy's Law, and then after the match, we see him backstage again outside Aleister's door. He's about to knock again, but Black pops right out, and they have a stare down, and that's where it ends. So we get in a match next week or what? Eric Rowan has Misty the Arctic Fox in tow once again as he takes on local talent Alex Malcolm. As the match begins, R-Truth chasing the Singh brothers around the ring for that 24/7 title, but Eric snuffs that right out, taking out Samir and Sunil at once, and Truth flees. And then Rowan taking out the local talent and the Singh brothers repeatedly, finally an iron claw that they almost botch at the end to put Alex away. So Rowan wins there, and there you go. The mystery of what's in the cage continues. Backstage, Randy Orton being interviewed, he says that he doesn't play well with others unless it benefits him. He puts over his sterling Survivor Series record. Then he challenges the Viking Raiders to a tag title match later in the night to replace Hawkins and Ryder with a partner of his choosing. Who could it possibly be? No clue. Gosh, it could literally be anyone. Kevin Owens taking on Drew McIntyre up next. Two guys who are teammates in their Survivor Series matchup in battle. Quick question, did they just pump the brakes on the Kevin Owens AJ Styles program that we got a hint of a few weeks ago and I missed it? Or are they just kind of like putting that on hold until after Survivor Series? I'm really curious about that. Anyway, I love this match. Very physical, and these guys gave each other everything and just put everything on the line. It was great. Until after Kevin hits the stunner on Drew, Triple H's music plays, we go to commercial, we come back, and the match is just evaporated. Drew McIntyre, nowhere to be found. Come on, guys, give us a clean fucking finish, can you? So the Forgotten Sons, Damian Priest, and Dominik Dijakovic are at ringside as Triple H is in the ring trying to appeal to Kevin Owens here. He says it's not an ultimatum like it was with Rollins, but he doesn't really say what it is. In fact, he does give a history lesson to the fans about how Kevin, you know, how big of an impact he made on NXT as he, you know, he beat up John Cena while he was the NXT champion. Really did a good job bringing up that past there. And so Triple H is, you know, trying to get in Kevin's face, trying to rile him up for something. It says the Raw guys aren't going to save you from this because these guys are here at ringside. No one's going to try and stop and protect you. Sure enough, out comes some Raw guys trying to have a fight. Then the Undisputed Era enter the ring, beat up Kevin Owens while Adam Cole Angle gets in Triple H's face. The OC come out and clear the ring. The arrow run off. And that's pretty much where it ends. I think of all the invasion segments we got on this night, I think this was the weakest of them all because we didn't really understand. Was this a ruse? Was Triple H just luring Kevin Owens into a trap? Or were the Undisputed Era going rogue? It was never really clearly defined. It seemed like a long way to go for us to get another invasion beat down in a hit and run. Backstage, Charlie Caruso interviewing Umberto Carrillo. He is challenging for the US title next week. As he appears for the interview, he gets no bigger of a pop on his 5th or 6th week on Raw than he did on his first episode. So great job building the new star, you guys. So he says a little promo, and then Charlie tosses to a backstage thing with Paul Heyman, doing some very subtle heel work wearing a New York Yankees tie in Boston. Does a great job recapping everything that's happened with Brock Lesnar and Rey Mysterio and Cain Velasquez over the last 2 months, and announces that the title match between Lesnar and Mysterio at Survivor Series will be no holds barred. And then when he's done with that, we go back to Charlie, who's interviewing Rey Mysterio now. And Mysterio puts over Umberto for a hot minute and cuts a nice promo against Lesnar. Says he's not looking for an apology, he's coming for the championship. Really solid promo by Rey here, but there was some slight feedback issue throughout the entire promo that was very distracting, but not enough to take too much away, but it's like, there's some weird humming I don't like. Asuka takes on Natalya up next. Follow up to a couple of weeks ago when Natalya made Asuka tap out in a non-title tag team match. Also, 100% my bad for completely missing the explanation on commentary from last week as to where Natalya was. Last week I was like, where's Natalya? Turns out they very clearly established she was dealing with a family emergency, so my bad for not catching that. But then again, the announcing is usually just white noise to me. It's a pretty solid match. Asuka wins after a big kick to the face, and so building more tension, I would guess, between the Kabuki Warriors and the team of Natalya and Charlotte, maybe? Also, we get this a few times in the night, but I'm not sure what the motivation is to have, these Survivor Series teammates facing off against each other in singles matches like we have with Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre, Asuka and Natalya. I figured, considering they're fighting for this nebulous concept of brand supremacy and all, shouldn't they all be kept fresh in some kind of way? In your main event, the Viking Raiders defend the Raw Tag titles against the team of Randy Orton and his mystery partner. Oh yeah, real big mystery, everyone. It's Ricochet. Oh my God, I never could have seen that in 100 years. They only spent the entirety of last Monday building tension between those two in preparation for Survivor Series, so who could have seen it coming? Anyway, a few minutes into the match, we see some beatdown backstage between some Raw and Smackdown guys. Back to the match, there's this lovely little sequence here between Ricochet and Ivar showing off their respective agility. I just want to see a singles match with these two guys now. Put that on Raw next week, please. Orton hits his drape over DDT on Ivar. Out come the Smackdown crew to show up and start beating. NXT guys join in and they beat up the Smackdown guys. More NXT guys show up and surround the ring with the 4 Raw guys in there. They try and fight off the NXT guys, but they get overwhelmed. Out come the rest of the Raw crew with Seth Rollins and the rest. NXT stands tall as Triple H shows up on the big screen and says that this Wednesday, the doors are open for Raw and SmackDown to come and do what they want. He's daring them to show up in the go-home NXT before Survivor Series, which is a hell of a way to get people to tune in for that show as we fade to black in a big old brawl. My final grade for this week's Raw is a D+. I was weighing between that and C- for a while, but I'm going to go with the lesser grade because I think the build to Survivor Series itself was pretty solid. It ended dramatically enough, but much of the build for this show, and also every Survivor Series the last couple of years, I feel that this whole thing about brand supremacy really throwing a wrench into the overall storytelling and character progression among the people within specific shows. I think it really sucks that your 3 biggest and most hyped matches on this episode all ended in some kind of DQ or non-finish. The Kevin Owens Drew McIntyre thing ending with Drew leaving after Triple H shows up, that completely pissed me off. I didn't like those matches ending the way they did. I get why they did it though, because it led into the invasion. There was still some good on this show, but yeah, the fact that they had all these matches kind of end in these really weak ways, that stuck in my craw. Still room for improvement though. Just have clean finishes, have definitive endings. If somebody loses a match, I'm not gonna get pissed. I promise. But let me know what you thought about Raw this week in the comments section below and give it a letter grade by going to the iCard in the corner of your screen. I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.